Good afternoon. My name is Scott Kinney with Discovery Education, and it is my pleasure today to host our One Idea series with Marcie Post. Marcie is the Executive Director of the International Literacy Association. Some of you might know it formerly as the International Reading Association, or IRA. Marcie has a long, storied background in education. She has been a school leader at the Norman Howard School in Rochester, New York, has been CEO of Education Enterprises of New York, and has been at the International Literacy Association for about 3 years now. So, Marcie, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Todd. Great to be here.
So, one of the things that you and I talked about was this concept of movement and change and how essential that is to educational organizations. So, I mean, maybe you could start a little bit by talking about, in the context of your association, how you view that, and maybe then we can pivot a little bit to the K-12 setting.
Sure. When I entered the organization, one of the biggest areas of focus for us was to really take a look at what we've been doing for 60 years now and how much of what we offered to those that joined us, primarily literacy educators, and whether or not what we offered was still relevant in this day and age, given what many of our members were expected to do within the classroom. And it was really clear to us that as an organization, if we were going to remain relevant, really offer up the kinds of services and resources that are useful, that we as an organization needed to take a strong inward look and change. I think that the need to change now at an organizational level, whether you are a nonprofit membership association like the International Literacy Association or a school, is more of an imperative than it's ever been, and that at the leadership level that we have just got to be incredibly open to change and embrace those types of operations that are going to generate and create change, and also understand what it takes to lead it and marshal it in a way that's right and centered for the organizations that we're given such awesome responsibility for.
It always seems like we're undergoing a lot of change, but it really does. I agree with what you said. Like, right now is a time where we have to be nimble and we have to be agile as organizations. Why do you think now is the time? I mean, what's special about or unique about this moment of time in education?
Well, we look back at just the last 6 to 8 years in particular. This isn't just about an economic bottoming out. This isn't just about difficulties we're all facing the challenges of running organizations or running schools against major challenges in terms of budgetary constraints. This is about a collision of events that have happened in such rapid fire level, including obviously the explosion of the digital age and virtual existence and social media. We had 7, 8 years ago, as we all became our own versions of internet groupies, no one could have foreseen that at about the same time that we enter recession, that social media would take on an incredibly important and critical element for so many people, including our students in learning. And all of this has put at us at a time when we have fewer resources, a massive amount of pressure on changing or marshaling change for organizations to keep up. And so, unfortunately, if we're not thinking about how nimble we're being as an organization, that's exactly what's happening. We're working hard to keep up rather than really, truly leading that way. Literacy and the use of this word is an interesting example. We didn't change our name just because of the response to the use of the word literacy. But right now, it's not unusual if I was to make a comment about how and in what way are you a literate individual. Most people will readily think about qualifiers such as digital literacy. Am I a digitally literate person? Am I financially literate? Am I politically literate? We've now, at a very public and general media way applied that terminology all over the place so that this word literacy has become fairly common, especially in regular public media. While we haven't specifically responded in that way by changing our name, we were really responding to what we believe are the expectations of those individuals that had been our members for a very long time, primarily teachers of reading. To us, it seemed both very precipitous and very important and very, very much on target in terms of where the world was going. Now the notion of being literate has massive, massive application and implication around the world. It needed a nimble switch and a nimble adjustment to that. It's very indicative of what I think we face overall in our organizations, that it's recognizing the need to shift and making the shift quickly and then executing behind it in a very, very deliberate way.
So,
yes.
At an association level, I would think the consequences are pretty clear. If you're not relevant to your membership, or you go down this kind of path, and you can kind of see ultimately how that ends. If I'm a school superintendent, or as you were a district leader, what's the impetus for change there? I mean, why is this change so? Why do we need this mandate at that level, do you think?
Well, I think more than ever, we really need to understand the adult impact of change. We talk a lot about leadership and change when it comes to students and learning and achievement, which is vitally important and critical. But I think now we also have to be pretty thoughtful about the impact of change on adults, because in my experience and estimation, children are far more resilient to the kinds of change that we introduce to them, and sometimes it's the adults that struggle. And in a leadership context in a school, this is where we need to be very focused and deliberate about how it is we estimate, underestimate, overestimate culture, and what it takes to generate momentum behind change so that, one, it's distributed and owned by everybody. And I've long passed the point of believing that everybody embraces, or I can woo everyone to embrace change at some point. But I know I can't do that. But what I can do is I can do my best to communicate it thoroughly, to embrace those that understand it and are willing to take it up as a champion alongside of me, and allow those people really to be as much of a leader as I am, if not more of a leader, because at the end of the day, that's who will convince a group of adults working in a building that change is not only important and essential, but change will in fact be effective and create a new or better or more productive or efficient or effective way of conducting the business we do every day, and that is teaching students.
That's great. Marcie, if I want to learn more about the International Literacy Association, where do I go?
Yes. literacyworldwide.org is our new URL, but you can still find us if you go to reading.org as well. We will always have that as a landing spot, and you can find more out about what we're doing to end illiteracy across the world.
That's great. Marcie Post, the Executive Director of the International Literacy Association. Marcie, thank you so much for your time and your leadership throughout the years, including your work in New York and now at the International Literacy Association, in really changing teaching and learning for the better of our students. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Scott.
Take care.